Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm going to share with you some of my color mixing process for my new painting, Immersion, which was in my show a couple weeks ago. So I'm starting off by taking some cadmium red light, some cadmium lemon, titanium white, and I'm mixing all that up. I'm just creating a peachy color. The water, the sunset reflecting off the water had a lot of really peachy, soft, warm colors, and it also had blues in the shadows as well. So I'm just mixing that up, taking some more titanium white. Sometimes I aim for one color, but I end up being closer to a different color in the reference, so I'll just work that, but that tends to happen a lot as I'm mixing colors. So I'm adding some more cadmium lemon, some more titanium white, just mixing it all up. Then I'm holding it up to the reference into those peachy warm parts of the water, and it's actually a very close match to some of that, and I just kind of hold it up to various parts to see how off I am and like if that color can also be worked up to match some of the other colors. So I split it off, and then I'm adding some cadmium lemon and titanium white to that half that I just split off. This palette knife, it works, but like I feel like I could still find a better one, and it is from Liquitex. Definitely a lot better than the Artist Loft one I got at Michael's. That one was really not that great at all. So you can see the difference between the two colors. It's like much more on the pink side. Well, I guess ever so slightly more on the pink side. The color that's on the right, and then the left has a bit peachy, more peachy tone to it, although they're both very peachy. So at this point I was a little bit indecisive. I couldn't quite figure out if I was happy with this color or not, and I just kept holding it up to the reference and trying to figure out what I needed to do, because as you can see, it's very, very close to what I need. So I took more titanium white and I added that in, just mixing that up, and then holding it up again just to see if it's the right color. It's already super close. So I decided it was good enough and I set it onto my palette. So then the other half of that initial color I made, I'm adding some burnt sienna to it. Sorry, that was not burnt sienna. That was alizarin crimson. It looked like burnt sienna, but it's not. It was alizarin crimson. So that's what I added to that color. It already looks a lot more pink. Holding it up as usual, and then taking some titanium white and some ultramarine blue and mixing that up, and that's just to give it a little bit more of a purple tone. There was just a variety of pinks and purples and peach and yellow, all those colors in the water, and then as we go to the bottom it was a lot darker. I think I might speed up some of these color mixing parts because it's kind of a slow process, as you can see. Adding some more alizarin crimson. Nice, beautiful, like transparent magenta kind of color. I really love alizarin crimson. It's been a staple on my palettes for many years now, ever since I started oil painting. So I brought in some dioxazine purple, which is a very lovely transparent purple. And it gives a tint that the ultramarine blue would not quite achieve, at least not with the ultramarine blue or cadmium red light and adding alizarin crimson, like close, but it's just simpler for me to use purple instead of trying to make purple, you know? So put that on my palette for future colors, and yeah. I'm constantly walking back and picking up more colors or picking up materials or checking my phone. So I'm holding the peachy, lovely pink color onto the reference and just sort of trying to gauge if that's the right color. And it looks like it matches all the peachy parts that's to the mid left near the yellows. So I'm just gonna put that onto my palette, and then I left some of that color there, and I'm taking some titanium white, alizarin crimson, and ultramarine blue, and I am mixing all of that together. More titanium white, and you can see it made this very lovely lavender color. It matches the candle. And if you can see the purple candle to the top. So adding some more alizarin crimson, more titanium white, mixing all of it up. Got a lot more close to the magenta side. Doesn't match the candle as well as the first time. But we're not trying to match a candle, we're trying to get the colors in the painting, so. Just holding it up to various parts of the painting. I'm adding some cadmium red light because the upper parts of the water where there's more sunlight reflecting off of it, they're a little more on the peachy side. There's definitely some blues in there and yellows, but not quite that bright purple, as you can see. But if I hold it up to other parts of the painting where there's less light, it matches it. So, and all these colors are also going to intertwine. I'm not just going to use them exactly as they are. Like, I'm going to mix them amongst each other, and then I'm going to add more colors to them. So this is just like a basic foundation start so that I don't have to keep mixing the basics all over and over and over again. But they will intertwine and mix amongst each other. So I'm taking some more ultramarine blue and adding that to the palette. And then I left to cry. I'm just kidding. Probably to pick up another color. So came back to continue mixing, and again it's starting to match the candle a little more. Also, this color mixing process before each painting, honestly, it takes me 2 hours sometimes. So it's very lengthy, but then you think about all the time you save not having to mix these colors as you're painting, and so I end up painting a lot faster. And I love it, so no complaints from me. And it's a fun, relaxing process. So I took some more ultramarine blue and I added it to that purple. Couldn't quite decide if it's the right color, I just keep on messing with it. So now we're getting a little bit closer, but I'm adding some cadmium lemon and some titanium white to brighten it up a little bit it looks like to match the top part of the reference, which has a lot more sunlight reflecting off of it, more sunset reflecting off of it, and it's a more peachy, yellow, like very light lavender color. So taking some more cadmium lemon. It's all just gradual trial and error. I take my time with the colors. I don't want to rush things. I don't want to rush and make the wrong thing, or, you know, have to have the wrong color from the start. As long as it's super, super close, that's what counts. And even if they're not a perfect match, if they're very, very close, then you can make the painting look like what it's supposed to. As long as you get the right shade and the tone, like, you're good. And value, of course, obviously. I hope I'm using these terms correctly. I never think in terms of technicalities. I just see and I look at what I'm doing and I just naturally figure it out. Like, applying all this terminology to it confuses me even more sometimes. So you can see we're very close to the color we need, and I'm just trying to tweak it, make it better. But I would say that is a very, very close match. And I'm like, is it though? I need to just make sure. Yep, put it on the palette. So then I started with a blue tone, and you can see I already mixed it, but I'm taking some ultramarine blue, titanium white, and some Mars black. I'm starting to work on the darker tones of the painting, adding some cadmium red light. And these colors are for the bits of the water where you can see through the water, where there's not reflection. It's like a little edge, or I don't know how to explain it. Basically like little waves, you can see through them. So I'm adding more titanium white. I feel like that's a bit much, but it's okay. And yeah, there's parts where the water is reflecting off of it, and then parts of the wave where you can sort of see through the water, and that's the darker parts where there's shadow. And this is natural water, so it's much darker than what would be a swimming pool, because there's actual like earth underneath it, you know? Not blue paint. So I took some alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue and added it to that color. And I'm just gradually holding it up to my reference. And I also need to pick up more colors to put on my palette, because I run out of, can't speak. I run out of them quickly as I'm mixing colors. Sorry guys, my mouth is like trying to go faster than my brain today. So I am taking some viridian and some cadmium red light. Just mixing them all up. Some more cadmium red light. We got like a really pretty purple violet tone. Taking some sap green. Some more ultramarine blue. Totally ran out of that color. So I'm just gonna replace it. I run out of that color so much. Okay, so I'm just adding more of it to my palette. And then holding it up to some of those shadowy wave parts, adding more blue, more cadmium lemon. It's like a bit of a grayish, violet bluish color. And there are some greens in it too, just ever so slightly. Taking some more sap green and some more cadmium lemon and more ultramarine blue, and then I accidentally tipped one of my pastel peachy colors, but that's okay. My phone just went off. I apologize. Putting that on vibrate. So actually no, it's on silent. Just kidding. No more disturbances. So just mixing that lovely gray color. It's just so much fun for me. I don't know if this is like ultra boring for you, but I love watching the colors being mixed when I go back. Like, oh, this is how I did it. And then I remember my thought process, and I don't know. So that color is going onto my palette now. Then I'm starting a new one, taking some titanium white, some cadmium red light, some ultramarine blue, which I'm running out of super quickly already. Just mixing it all together. You guys, I think we're starting to match the candle again. Some more cadmium lemon. Now we're not. Some alizarin crimson. Just mixing it all up. Taking some more cadmium lemon. So when I started using palette knives, I would transfer the paint onto an empty palette, but I noticed that I still need my base colors that I start mixing with, like all the colors up top straight out of the tube. Like I still need those to mix into the colors gradually. So now I just put all the colors on the same palette, so I have my colors out of the tube and then the colors that I mixed, and I feel like that works best for me at the moment, because I found myself having to go to another palette to get those colors from the tube, or then place the colors from the tube onto my palette regardless, because I would need maybe just the slightest tint of red and like a tiny little part. One little brush stroke needs a little bit of red, but the color mix didn't quite have that shade to it. So I'm just adding a bunch of white here and some cadmium lemon. But yeah, so I just started putting them all in the same palette. So I have all my mixed colors, and then I have my colors out of the tube. And regardless, they all get mixed. Like I never use colors straight out of the tube. Even most of my whites that I use, I tend to add a little bit of yellow, because highlights on the face are never just pure white. Very rarely do I see that. They usually have a little bit of a warm tone to them. So another purplish peachy color for the water is on my palette. I'm taking some titanium white and refilling my cadmium lemon, because I run out of these colors like there's no tomorrow. But on the bright side, I'm not going to waste too much paint. I'm trying to use them sparingly. So taking some cadmium lemon, more titanium white. I run out of titanium white more than any other color in the world ever. No joke. That's why I have such a big tube, and I need to refill that because it's been a year and I'm almost done with it. Actually, it's been almost 2 years since I got that tube, and I'm almost done with it, so it says a lot. But yeah, taking some more titanium white to add to that color. This is going to be the bright yellow color that you see in the water. More like a golden color that was in the sky, just reflecting off the water. It's cool to see the water, because I remember the sunset that I saw that day, and those are the colors that were in the sky, and they're just like they're in the water. I find it so cool. Taking some more cadmium lemon, and I did section off that color. So there's like 2 yellows. I split them in half. Doesn't the texture look like cake icing to you? Because it does to me, and I want to eat it, which is not recommended. Although if you ate oil paints, as long as it didn't have any like cobalt or lead, like you'd be fine. I still don't suggest it because it's literally just pigment and oil paint. Yeah, I don't suggest it, but it's a lot safer than eating acrylic paint. This is getting weird. Why am I talking about eating paint? Like, this is what I think of. I look at paint and I'm like, that looks like cake icing. That looks delicious and I want to eat it. So welcome to my brain. So that first yellow basically just got the perfect ratio of cadmium lemon and white, and then I sectioned it off, and then I took the other half and I just added a little bit of cadmium red light. So that changed the color drastically, obviously. That actually looks very, very similar to the first color that we mixed. I'm adding more titanium white. You can see very, very peachy color, matches many parts of the painting with that light tone there. And it looks like I'm splitting it into halves and adding more cadmium lemon. More titanium white. Just mixing it all up. And I disappeared again. Who knows where I went? Oh, I'm back. Okay. Titanium white. Very, very peachy color. I feel like I need better vocabulary to describe some of these colors because, like, peachy, pink, you know, it's like, we get it. You can see it with your own eyes. Lots of pastels in the water. Adding more cadmium lemon and just a smidgen of yellow ochre and a huge amount of titanium white. And there was some paint that got onto the upper part of my palette knife, and then I got it on my hand, and luckily I caught it in time before I made a giant mess, but that's also happened many times before. I'm adding a teeny bit of alizarin crimson, but that small little bit makes a pretty big difference. Transparent colors tend to be very powerful when it comes to tinting a light color. And they do serve their purpose. It's great to have a combination of not only opaque colors, but some transparent ones as well. They're also really great for glazing. So, just trying to tweak this color. It's hard to see a huge difference from, you know, what really changed about it, but when you're in there in person and you hold it up all to the reference, it makes a lot of sense. I split off even more of this color, so I'm taking some cadmium lemon, some yellow ochre, and more titanium white. All of the titanium white. Gotta bring some more back to my palette. As you can see, these peachy tones, there's just so many different varieties of them, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the perfect ones. Adding some more titanium white, mixing all of it up. More titanium white because, you know, just use all the titanium white, just run out. Why not? Go big or go home. Very slow process. But again, like I said, it does save me time in the long run when it comes to actually painting. I don't have to spend as much time mixing colors as I paint. They're already there for me. I just put them in the right spots, like putting together a puzzle. You just use your eyes as an anchor. And a grid obviously helps when you have a reference, because you can tell, you know, where each individual color goes, like the little shapes, and to organize them properly. Huge help. So I split off for the 4th time, or 5th time at this point, and then I added some alizarin crimson, some ultramarine blue, so now we're crossing into greener territory. Adding more cadmium red light. Hair, dog hair on my palette, which is normal, happens all the time. Can't really do much about it. No matter how much I vacuum, there will be dog hair somewhere on my palette, and cat hair, because that's just who I am. Okay, but seriously, that looks like icing. All right, very just slight difference, and I put that color onto my palette.